Good morning, Turfs Up Radio. Wayne Voles, Profits Unlimited, coming to you live from Louisville, Kentucky.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, my goodness. Got a great show planned today. It's going to be a fun day, but we got some serious business topics we're going to talk about today. Hopefully, you guys enjoy that with us. Sorry about that. But wow, that was really cool. Y'all, let me tell you what just happened to the music. When I said some serious topics, my phone picked it up as you know who. And that's what happened to she's like, okay, can I help you? Oh my gosh. She just got beat. And then, I holler at this thing at night, like, hey, turn off my alarm, set my alarm, whatever. But anyways, hey, see, here we are. We're off on a side tangent already. Oh my goodness. But anyway, no. Hey, we have got an outstanding show going today. I guarantee you guys are going to like it. I'm looking most forward to your all's participation. Got my buddy John Stuber listening to me. I reached out to him today and I said, hey, man, be nice to have you back on my radio show with me. He says, man, I'm listening to you. I just really busy and this going on with his dog kennel and everything else going on in his life and remodeling his daughter's house and all this hard stuff he's into right now. He said, I'm listening, man. I just can't interact. So that's cool. We're glad to know you're listening with us, John. So, but man, we've got a ton of stuff going on. The weather's great and it's going to get cooler and then it's going to get warmer. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. But right now we're enjoying this nice, cool weather. I hope your week's going as good as ours is here at WLS and looking forward to that. Jeopardy, one of our applicators here, she is y'all have heard me talk about it a little bit. She's getting ready to have a baby. I think she's 37 weeks. What's the total time on that? 40? So yeah, she's getting close. Every day I ask her how you feel. And she's like, oh, pretty good, pretty good. This morning she says, pretty good. My feet are swollen a little. So I guess that comes with the neighborhood. So she'll be checking out and taking a little bit of maternity leave here shortly, I'm sure. And she does a bang up job for us. And we're going to miss her. But hey, it's her second daughter coming along. So that's a cool thing, too. That really is. Being the father of four, I can appreciate that next one coming, and she's really looking forward to that. And she already has a daughter that's, I think she's 8 or 9. How old is she? 10? Yeah. Yeah. So maybe 10. So, but, anyways, this is going to be her second. So congratulations on that for sure. I hope everybody's week's going good again. Here we are on Friday already. Can you all believe it? Speaking of Friday and being September 5th, a year ago today, I guess, or pretty close, it was September 6th last year, I think. I got my hip done. And it was September 6th. I'm 100%. 100%. If it was the 8th, then I'm 99.9%. But I'm almost positive it was September 6th. So, yep, Kyle said it was. How do you know? Oh, was it? Oh, he just looked the date up. All right. Well, hell, that's a good way to know. Heck yeah, nothing like the producer checking in on you and checking on your dates. But man, a year out, here we are. So hopefully you guys have had a good year like I have, getting this hip back in order and moving around. And I don't know if I shared this with you or not, but I'm going to share it now. Earlier, was it this week or last week, Katie, when I tripped in here? That was last week one day. I was coming around my desk and I hit a chair mat on Daniel's desk area and tripped, did not fall, but I went from my side of the office over to Kyle's side over there on his desk, and which is to give you about 10 feet, 10 or 12 feet. I don't know, something like that. not too far. But that was the first time I really tested my hip in a non-test situation, and it was crazy, man. We got a video of it if anybody'd like to see it. It only lasted about 2 seconds, 3 seconds, whatever. Probably not even 3 seconds, maybe two. But it was kind of funny. Daniel was actually on the radio when I did it, and I thank God he was, because when I went by him, I hit his chair with my left hand, and that kind of brought me back upright. And I said, Daniel, did you see that? And he said, no, but I felt it. So thanks, Daniel, for keeping me alive.
Glad to help.
You know, sorry about the whiplash.
Yeah.
But Katie's like, oh my God, if you could have only seen my face, her face, meaning, it's because she just happened to be standing up at her desk, getting a little stand up work time in. And gosh, the hip it recovered has done well, so didn't hurt me, and I was able to trunch through. And yeah. So I thought I'd share that little story with y'all. That just popped in my head to share with you. So that was fun. But hopefully you guys got a good day going. Got a good day going, and for us, we're doing a little bit of mowing, a little bit of we're rolling about halfway through our last broadleaf weed control application, I would say, and that's going really good for us. We talked a little bit about that. We'll touch on that here in a little bit, but and other than that, we started power seeding today, or we've done a few or one or two aerations, and did we're power seeding today, and that's all underway. So that's a great thing. Glad to see that get rocking and rolling, because that's a nice little income producer for us, and that's why we talk about it on here and with other contractors. It's a great addition to the business, is what it amounts to, and that's why we do it. And to some extent, it's reoccurring revenue. Quite honestly, it's not a one and done. It is for some, but we're going to talk about that aspect of it too a little bit today, or that's my plan anyway. But before we get into all that, I want to say I had a great time last night. Tabitha and I, with my grandkids, came over, and like mom and dad went to parent teacher conferences last night. So they came over and had dinner with us and hung out with us for a few hours, and we had a really good time, man. Went out on the deck for a little bit, and then we went back in the backyard and threw a little football, and then we went to the front and did a little. Daniel, they got your zip sticks out.
Ripstick.
Or rip sticks, yeah. I called it, yeah, I called it zip. Katie's making fun.
At a certain point, it just is what it is.
It is what it is.
Redubbed.
We had both of your rip sticks.
I didn't know I still had two there.
Yeah. So if you want one, I mean, if you want one, you're welcome. And then the regular skateboard thing. And
wait, the small one?
The small one.
I didn't know that was there either.
Yeah.
Was it white?
No, it's black.
Black. Does it have the green wheels on it?
It's real short. It's real short. It's about that long.
Yeah, penny board.
What is it?
Penny board. I used to have light up wheels. God, they were. Well, I don't know if those were the same wheels though, because I think the bearings or something I had to switch them out or something, and I can't remember. But all I know is the light up wheels were awesome.
That was cool. But yeah, we had a great time. And they had fun. Addison hopped right on that
ripstick.
Yeah, I'm gonna just call it whatever it is, whatever I think it is.
Just imagine you got on and you're gonna rip something if we.
That's what it is, a ripstick. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, she hopped right on it, because she rides that other hoverboard around her house all the time.
Yeah, she can ride it up the stairs.
But that would be incredible. I mean, if it'd be some way to stay on her feet, I'm sure she's got the balance,
Anybody can ride it down the stairs. That's the
yeah, that's fun. But yeah, we had a great time. I got cool videos of it, and I ain't that grandpa that takes a zillion videos and all the time where they're there, but I did take a couple videos of that. We were out in the court actually, and Tab was at the top of the court. You know, it kind of goes the incline downhill.
Yeah.
So, so she was at the top of the court telling them to go, and they had put a chalk line across the court for their finish line, and they must have done it I don't know,
30 times, 40 times.
at least, and it was really cool. I mean, uh, they Brooklyn and Caroline were like sitting.
On the
Caroline's
wheels.
yes, and so Brooklyn started on the four wheel thing. The what'd you call it? A
Ripstick.
not that one.
Oh, the hoverboard.
And just a regular skateboard
Oh,
thing.
the skateboard. The
Yeah.
penny board.
So then she gave that to Caroline, her younger sister, for you all that don't know. And after literally about two trips down, man, we had both the ripsticks going and the penny board going.
Nice.
And they were getting to, they meaning Caroline, predominantly the youngest, for you guys that don't know, they were getting to where they'd get down at the end and she could just turn and go back up. So,
wow.
Yeah, it was fun. She wanted to stand on it, and I'm like,
yeah.
no, we're not going to stand on it. You know, one of y'all done fell off a swing under supervision of ours before. You know, God, who was it, Kyle? Which one was it? Brooklyn? Yeah. And hit her head, fell off a swing.
Yeah.
God, poor mom. She just felt so bad about that. But Kyle said he even got in trouble. So that's why I told him no, there was, other than Addison, nobody was standing on any of these things. You know? So
Brooklyn, Brooklyn's to the age where she could, but I don't know if her head can take another ding. So
another shot. Yeah. True that. So let me think about this a minute. God, something I was going to tell you else about that? I don't know. But I mean, they did it about 100 zillion times, you know, but they had a really good time with it. I think Tabitha and I enjoyed it, you know, as much as they did, quite honestly. So, but anyways, that's what went on at my house last night. But anyways, we're going to take a short break and we'll be right back with more Profit Time here on Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station. Don't you go anywhere. I got a silly joke. John Stuber, this is in your honor. This is in your honor, buddy. You know, you send me a lot of good jokes. And we'll see if somebody absolutely, Fred. That's exactly the way we look at it too. We talked about it the other day. I think you was on with us, but we talked about, it seems like that window's extending out that seeding season. So yeah, that's what it's looking like. Get those soil temperatures up really good and take them a little longer to go back down, and we can keep on a seeding. But absolutely, that's the good part of that. So that's what we're looking for. But I got a fun joke for you guys, and y'all probably hop right on it and get the right answer. But I needed a little help, but everybody got it in here pretty easily. And it's simply this: what is a snake's favorite subject in school? And then Daniel came up with actually a really good one after that too. So, oh, well, that's true. Kyle said they didn't get it right off the bat. I just gave you the answer in the question by accident. So, yeah, I did mess that up. But okay, so that's the question. What's a snake's favorite subject in school? So, somebody shoot me a text and let me know. Let me know what you think you got going on that. We're going to move along with the show. I got a question for you guys, seriously, other than the snake question. And how do you all handle call-in complaints on drivers? How do you handle call-in complaints on a driver? And I mean, it's something that needs to be obviously taken seriously if it's a serious issue. But we had a real Karen call in here yesterday, wasn't it, Kate? Yeah, it was yesterday. Couldn't remember if it was yesterday or Wednesday. But it was, yeah. She calls in and she leads off with, "Hi, this is Karen." No, did she? I don't even know if she gave her name. Yeah, but long story short, she says, "Hey, I'm going down Interstate 64, and one of your trucks. I was in the merge lane trying to merge on, and one of your trucks sped up, and I had to get in behind them. And I'm driving a Mercedes Benz."
So that's what how she ended up at the sentence. So right, Katie?
Yeah, so
So but
yeah,
then just like dot dot
I'm
dot.
I'm driving a Mercedes Benz, so you know. Well, who gives a shit? I had, I had a Mercedes Benz before I got a job. Then I got a job and I could get something decent.
Oh my God.
You know, I mean, that's what I'd love to. Katie told her that, not really, but Katie acted concerned, like we always do. But I mean, realistically, when you're in a merge situation like that, I don't want a truck and a trailer slowing down from highway speed to let somebody get in front of them because they're trying to merge. If you can't get over to the left, yeah, do them a favor, accelerate, get past, and let them fall in behind you. To me, I mean, that was a perfect maneuver. Now, sometimes you might get a legitimate complaint, but I will say that most of our calls that we get, we don't get a ton of them, but we had one, I don't know, last summer about a lady called in complaining she was walking through a neighborhood and one of our trucks was just flying through the neighborhood. And we looked it up on GPS and their maximum speed was like 23 or 24 miles an hour. And I mean, yeah, could they have gotten up to something greater than that? But this thing reports like every 60 seconds, I think, or every it's every minute or every 2 minutes. It's reporting. So I said, well, yeah, we can look that up for you. I'm sorry, if you had an issue with that. And I looked it up and I had the lady on the phone. I looked it up because I wanted to know, who it was and where it was at and that whole thing to match it up. And yeah, there it was. And there's the speed. And I said, well, ma'am, I said, we'll take care of it, but I want you to know we got GPS on all of our vehicles and the maximum speed on that truck, what's been in your subdivision has been 23 miles an hour. And she said, I can clearly see that you don't care. It wasn't that I didn't care and probably shouldn't have told her that the truck was going 23 miles an hour. What would have probably made her feel better was just, hey, we'll take care of it. I'm sorry you had to see that. Or I don't, what
It's
would you
probably a
say?
traumatizing event. She had to go to therapy. The
Yeah,
whole thing.
there might have been some therapy involved, you know, but
I mean, when you see a bigger vehicle and going a certain speed, it can seem like it's going faster, right?
yeah,
Right. So I mean, 25 on a moped that's passing by versus 25 on a with a F-250 or greater with a trailer, it's going to be louder. It's going to produce more wind. It's all that kind of stuff.
it's a
So
different sensation. No, you're right. Oh my God. Mike says when they call in about him, he just says, I say, well, it's not my guy because it's just me. So it's me that you saw. Mike, it's funny. I actually told a lady that one day. She called in and had left a message. This goes back a lot of years, and it was down from our shop, I don't know, a few miles down Bardstown Road here, and where Bardstown Road kind of narrows up. And lady merged over on me. I mean, I had to blow my horn at her, and that's what pissed her off a little bit, and that's what prompted the call. But she called in and said, "You've got a driver driving erratically, blah 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 blah." And then I said, I called her back and I said, "Ma'am, I just want you to know I got your message." I said, "But that driver was me." And I said, "You're the one that almost hit me. I was in my lane." And I don't know. Again, probably should not have responded that way. But at some point in time, you got to back yourself or back your drivers. Now, I know they're not out there being perfect too. I really do know that. I mean, everybody's got different driving habits, but I mean, when you look at, in our particular case, we look at the drivers we've got and the years they've been driving with us. I mean, I don't want to jinx us, but I mean, we don't have a lot of issues. And then, especially with that lady yesterday, you know, Mike said, honestly, I'd probably ask if I could say a quick prayer for her and pray that she may find some peace. That would be a little bit sarcastic, but that'd be all right too. It'd be like mine, Mike. I don't think they would take it in a positive way. But I'm just curious how you guys handle it. Do you write it up and put it in an employee's file if it wasn't, something that you don't feel like's justified as a write up? As far as I'm concerned, that phone call never happened yesterday.
Yeah, irrelevant.
You know, Katie said she was sorry, and we'd take care of it. And but I just think it was bad that the I forgot the good part of that story too, though. That where she says I'm in a Mercedes, and what was the final?
So you know.
Just so you know.
Not even just so you know. So you know.
Um,
Like we know something about
so
her being in a Mercedes makes it more important, or
it's more
she's
important.
more important, or
No, it just makes it
her
easier
car.
for that 550 to run over the top of you. God, that ain't even funny. Let's move along. We're going to move along now. We're going to move along. So you know. Oh, could you imagine sitting around having drinks at a fire with her? How exciting that could be. Speaking of sitting around a
I
fire.
don't. This is stereotyping, but I don't think someone who's that like psyched out about being in a fire or being in a
Oh, yeah.
Mercedes is sitting around a fire.
Maybe not. Maybe not. Kyle's probably right. She's probably got some good stories she could tell. Could
Yeah,
you imagine how many people have made her unhappy?
she's probably fired a lot of people.
Yeah. She's probably had a lot of us doing things for her. Oh my God. But anyways, you take them serious when they're serious, but otherwise, don't worry too much about it. Uh, Corey said, here's an interesting story. He had a lady from his church complain I didn't let her in and almost ran her off the road. I told her I would pray about it, but until I get an answer, she probably wouldn't hear from me. Oh my God. And on that note, we're going to move along as we're moving along. Golly, like I said, let's move on to something more constructive here. Let's have a little change of
Blow
pace
that
here.
one up.
We'll blow that one up. Bye bye now. Bye bye. But hey, I touched on it, but we did start our aeration seeding is underway here at WLS now. Hopefully, you guys get to start soon if you haven't started, and maybe you're halfway through based on where you're at. Who knows? But we're off to a really decent start. We've had quite a few add-ons this week. I think Kyle and Katie are blowing it up. They're being selling machines on everything across the board. But Katie's rocking it out. Daniel, pretty good over there on those aerations and power seating jobs. So, um, pretty good, pretty good, pretty good. And our close ratios are good. We looked at, we look at that every once in a while, and probably more than every once in a while. But we're looking at our close ratios, and they're really good. So, um, congratulations. I want to give Kyle and Katie a shout out. And Katie gets a double shout out for making the phone ring too with all of her marketing that she does for us. She do a great job with that, Catherine. And speaking of Catherine, she's going to be a landlord before long, you all. Uh, she's like, what? Oh, okay. She said, don't talk about it till it's done. Kyle said he got in trouble because he didn't tell people fast enough. Oh, Lordy. There you go. But yeah, Katie's got a contract on a house and just waiting for their. She put it in yesterday, so now they're just waiting on that home inspection. So we give Katie a big shout out. Woohoo! Going to be a landlord. So there you go. Nothing wrong with that. So, but hey, on a serious note, too, something about aeration and seeding that we do with them, and Fred, I'm sure you probably go this route too. We try to convert the ones that are not already fert and weed customers at a minimum to fert and weed customers. First of all, we want the reoccurring revenue of the applications and the opportunity to sell them other things, but we use it as a really good way to convert people um, to fert and weed, or anybody that we do aeration overseeding for, or slit seeding. I know some of you guys call it slit seeding, power seeding. You guys know what I'm talking about. But the main thing is here is don't just provide that service and leave it at that. Let's convert them over to a recurring revenue service like fert and weed. So and we've got a really high conversion rate on those, quite honestly. And I just wanted to share that with you all, so you all could think about that side of it. If you're not doing that, because for several years we didn't. We just took the money and run. Who sings that song? Come on, take your money and run.
Steve
Is
Miller
that
Band or
Steve?
the Eagles? I'm not.
I think it is Steve Miller Band. But then we realized that, hey, man, we're leaving something out there, you know, because we get a lot of calls, and I'm not going to mention the company's name here in Louisville because they're a great company and I like them and they've been in business a long time. But they sell their seating services out in a hurry. I mean, only they got a big business, but they sell their time slots out in a hurry. So we get quite a few calls from their customers, saying, "Hey, my current company is booked. Can you all do it?" And that's something again that we learned, that we started doing a little bit this year, and we'll do a lot more next year because the idea came a little bit late. And as basic as this sounds, but let's go ahead and start. We're going to go ahead and start trying to sell that aeration, overseeding, and power seeding work in the spring to customers as they come on board with us. You know, um, go ahead and sell those time slots because that's what that other service is doing, and as well as their existing customer base, and it seems to be working really well for them. But we do try to convert everybody, and some of the ones that are with other services will convert over once we talk to them about the advantages of, hey, you're spending probably 4 or 5 times the amount you're spending with them on lawn applications to get your lawn renovated. Why don't you let us maintain it and maintain and save your investment? And I think that's a safe bet, don't you, Daniel? You were talking about betting on your show. I think from a consumer standpoint that it makes sense.
Yeah.
And maybe they got a good working relationship with the company that's treating their yard and they like that. And they just, no, we're good with who we got. We just want to let they can't do it, and we know you all do good work. We'll have you do this. So that side of it's good for us too. We certainly will take that and move along if we need to. So, and speaking of lawn renovations, early order season is just around the corner. I got a thing the other day from Advanced Turf Solutions. Big thing I'm looking at right here in front of me, right? Early order and save, and they got a big thing going out. So, and I know we always do our early order program with Steven, Sigma Organics, late, or I don't know, mid fall, sometime generally mid to late fall. And yeah, so just put that on the burner for you guys. And you don't have to be doing a lot of yards. Guys, I hear it all the time. Guys say, I'm only spraying 100 yards, or I'm only spraying 150 yards. It's no big deal. Well, yeah, if you can save whatever you can save by taking advantage of an early order program, I think it makes sense. Daniel, I mean, it doesn't have to be a ton of money that you're saving. You don't have to be doing 1,000 accounts or 500 accounts or 10,000 accounts. I mean, do it with whatever number you're doing, because it's not like you got to bat and take the product right now. You know, that was the thing that a lot of guys thought about early orders, and uh, when they let me know before that, hey, you don't have to take this. And this goes back a lot of years, but I always thought, hey, on an early order, you had to take product. But it's only because I wasn't properly educated by my distributor at the time, and or I didn't do my due diligence on finding out what opportunities were out there. So, it's just something to think about. But the main takeaway for today is look at your early order programs, for you guys doing fert and weed. Also, for you guys doing snow and ice management, we're right there in that time of the year. Like Dan told us earlier on our show, they took delivery of a lot of their pelletized material today from their early order program. So we're still good on pelletized material here from last year. We had a good winter. It was snowing good, and based on God bless you, based on our reorders and whatnot, trying to stay ahead of that game. We're not going to get into that process today, but um, we're pretty good on bag material, and we're getting ready to place our bulk material early order. But we take delivery on that probably around Halloween. Generally, is when we get ours. Gives us time to get it treated, because we treat our own pile generally. And but yeah, early order, take advantage of those programs. So, hey, we're going to take a short break. Craig sent me something in, and Craig listens to us all the time here on Turfs Up, and he's in the profit circle with us, and he's got a really good head on his shoulder. And he sent me something yesterday that it's not going to be surprising to any of you all, but I just really want to talk about it for on a lot of different levels. A lot of different levels. And I mean, it could really be, this could be a 3-hour seminar. I mean, it really could, but we're going to condense it into just a few minutes of what he sent me. But Craig had bid on this property, small property, and, submitted their proposal on it. And he got a email or a text back that, from the customer that said, hey, I've got another estimate for $90 for all the things that the previous guy was doing. And this, I want y'all to know, this was not $90 like for mowing. This was $90 a month over 12 months. So 9 times 12 was 108. So that's $1,080. So for $1,080 a year, this guy was going to, and I wish and I hope he's listening to us on Turfs Up Radio, because this is in no way criticism, but I would really just like to help the guy a little bit. So for $1,080, he was going to make 30 visits to the property. Now, keep in mind, Craig did say it's a small property, between 2,500 and 3,000 square feet. Okay. But he's going to make 30 visits for mowing, 7 lawn applications during the year, and then in the fall, aeration and broadcast seeding. I'm just here to tell you, I don't care who you are or what situation you may create. There is no possible way that guy's even on break-even money on that. Now, his or hers, I don't know, mindset on that was, well, hey, I can do it because I've got 14 yards. I've got 14 yards in this neighborhood. Well, now you're just perpetuating That's probably the right word. The problem. I mean, so you got 14 yards in the neighborhood. It seems to me you need to understand cost first to even try to get in play on that. I mean, do it. Well, yeah, Kyle's got a good point there. Kyle says the good thing is he's just screwing up one neighborhood real good for a day. You know, too bad he let him get all of them in the neighborhood and just have a neighborhood out of service. But I mean, when you look at that, I don't even know how he broke those numbers down to make sense. But I guess my point on this, the point I would like to make for everybody listening to this, and especially you guys are listening to this later on on the podcast version of this, because we get a whole lot of downloads. Know your numbers. I'm not going to say what the number is to be right, but I can tell you without knowing anything at all about this particular contractor that that number's wrong. I mean, I don't even know how they're doing it. And let's first of all look at the 14 number. Hey, I got 14 in the neighborhood. Why do you want to? Let's just say those numbers are right. Let's work with the numbers being right for a second. Why do you want to discount properties in the neighborhood when bless you, when the only reason you got them in the first place, we all start with generally one somewhere, right? You get one in a neighborhood. At some point, you had one there or two there. For whatever reason, you get started. But why do we get multiples in a neighborhood generally? Well, it's probably because somebody's either not getting dependable service or quality service or both from who they've got, and they see the work that you're doing and you're doing a great job, and they're like, dang on, I'm going to call them. They do good work. Why, as an industry, and we see this all the time, and you guys can do what you want to do, but why, as an industry, do we want to discount our services to potential clients because we get multiples in a neighborhood or multiples in a row? Because I talk with people all the time about it, and they're like, well, Wayne, I don't have to move my truck and I'm mowing 5 yards. Well, good. Why'd you get 5 yards? You got 5 yards because you do a good job. If I go in and get 5 gallons of gas or 50 gallons of gas, it's the same price per gallon. Why, as an industry, do we want to have that mindset of, well, I can do them cheaper. I don't have the drive time. I don't have the load and unload time. I'm going to pass that savings along to my customer. Okay, so fine. You do that. Now, for some reason, you lose 3 of them or 4 of them or 5 of them or whatever number it is. Say the guy's got 14. Now he loses 10. Or he loses, let's be realistic, he loses 4 of them for some reason. Okay, or whatever number it is. Well, now he's got to go back to the ones he's got remaining and have a price increase or sell hard to pick up 4 more in that same neighborhood to get his pricing to where he thinks it's right. But let's say you're not that far off, because this guy's off and I don't even know his numbers. I don't know if he's using a push more, but I mean, the reality of it is, even with a push more in a truck, you couldn't do this for $1,080 a year and make any money. That's the reality of that. So that's why I'm so confident in the way I'm presenting it. But let's just say you were in a situation, and I'm not saying never give a discount if that's what you want to do. But my God, the first thing you got to understand is, where's the break even point? And I think that's where a lot of people get lost, Daniel, is the break even point. They don't understand the break even point.
Yeah.
And they get hung up in that mindset. I'm not moving, you know, hey, well, I get $90 a month all year long, so I got 3 months where I'm not doing anything. You owe it to yourself to have a better handle on your business, number one. But let's look at it a little deeper than that. Set up and establish a minimum, regardless of how many yards you get put together in a neighborhood or side by side. Because if let's just say you got 2 yards side by side, where let's just say I'm mowing Daniel's yard and I'm mowing Katie's yard. Now the third one calls across the street or 2 doors down. I can't give them a better price than I'm giving Daniel and Katie. I'm going to have to discount them all. Now the question becomes, how do you explain it then? Because they all want to say, well, hey, you're already doing these two. Can you give me a special price? Can you do it for less? Or can you do us all for less? And the answer immediately to the consumer that I use is, yes, we could do it for less. But let me tell you why I don't want to. Why'd you call us in the first place? Well, because you all show up, y'all do a good job. My guy is not regular on showing up. You know why he's not regular on showing up? Because he's got too much work scheduled at not enough pricing. So he's never caught up. But what I can offer you is what you see us giving these Mr. Daniel and Miss Katie there. That's what we have to offer: dependability, quality service at a fair price. Not the cheap price, but a fair price. They're going to do one of two things: either hire you or tell you they're going to keep looking. And either way, it's okay. But if they hire you and then you continue to build on that density of that route or that neighborhood, and you've got a minimum charge that you're going to charge somebody, what's that mean for you? What's that mean for you? It means more profit dollars that you're putting in your pocket. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's not unfair. You've committed to showing up. You've committed to doing a good job. You've committed to being a business that understands their cost per hour of operation. Now, they don't care about that, right? They don't care that you understand that. What they care about is somebody showing up on a regular basis, doing good work, and they get tired of the old way of the person that's not showing up. This guy here is just an illustration of the failure rates being the failure rates of our industry. I'm not wishing bad luck on this guy. I'm not wishing bad luck on any contractor. But what I do wish, but as a business owner and business owner to business owner, is that people cared more about the business side of their business and then went out and sold the work. But we do it backwards. And when I say we, a lot of the service industry does it backwards because we go out and think, I got to get to work. I need to work. I need to work. And yeah, you need to work. But what you really need to do first is understand what it costs you to provide the service. Because just looking at minimums, and I'm going to just give you some minimums that I came up with. I really don't think that, yeah, that's fair. I can say that. I really don't think it's fair for you to go below your minimum because you've got more properties in a row because you do good work. That's number one, and I've said that 2 or 3 times now. But I also think that you need minimum of $55 to stop that truck and trailer. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are. And I don't care that you got a small yard, because a small yard a lot of times is a bigger pain in the butt than a bigger piece of property to cut. So let's just say you're at a minimum of $55 a stop and you do it 30 times a year. That's $1,650 for just the mowing service that you're providing. But let's just get really stupid and say, hey, okay, I'm willing to do it for 40. Well, even 30 cuts at $40 is $1,200, and you're still 25% higher than a guy that's doing it for $1,080 and doing the 7 lawn applications, aeration, and broadcast seeding. This is an extreme example, but it's obviously life in the fast lane in Charlotte. But I'm going to tell you, it's life in the fast lane in Louisville when you say it's fair, Daniel.
Yeah, everywhere.
Everywhere. You know, we told you about the guy. This is actually the house Katie's buying that was just going around the neighborhood for $50 a month. And now this was not his job, but
yeah,
you know, he's cutting yards for $50 a month, not even a set price. So no concern with 4 Tuesdays or 5 Tuesdays in a month, but just $50 a month he'd mow your yard just because he likes to mow your yard and he wants to have somebody else pay for his new lawnmower that he bought, literally. That's what he said he was doing. But, you know, just looking at this on a minimum for Wayne's Lawn Service, for an example, okay, the minimum we would do any stop for would be 55. The minimum on our lawn apps for 2,000 square feet is 44. So between mowing at 1,650, 7 lawn apps at 44, it's another 308. Minimum on aeration for us is 155 for 2,000 square feet or less. And minimum on broadcast seeds, 105. So for us, and I'm not saying we're right, but I am saying he's wrong, we're at $2,218 for that job that those consumers in that neighborhood are getting done for $1,080.
Yeah. And the worst part is, yes, you're setting the market back, but what you're also doing is creating a feeling of distrust even more so between the consumer and the businesses, because now I can't trust big WLS who's just trying to overcharge me.
Yeah.
When in reality, that's all the things that are within your minimum, but also, you know what you're doing, and from that perspective, the business perspective, and this guy simply doesn't. Like, it doesn't matter that this guy might be just as good or a little bit worse or 10 times better at what he does. He's harming the industry by doing what he's doing. And anyone that's doing that, even if they don't know they're doing that, they don't need to be in the industry.
No, they don't deserve to be in the industry. I'll just go ahead and say you're right, Daniel. They don't deserve to be in the industry. Stupidity should not be an excuse for acceptance, you know? And that's just the reality of it. And I say it a lot harsher now than I used to. But I mean, all I'm trying to do is help guys and contractors and business owners understand, and what really, what I told a lady one time, this is a true story. She told me, no wonder you've been in business for 40 years charging these prices. I told her, I said, you know what? You just answered your own question.
Yeah. You think you're making a point, but you're actually making my point.
You're making my point. And that's what I told her. I said, you're making my point, ma'am. I said, why have we been in business for 40 years? It's not because we're taking advantage of people. It's because we know what it cost us to operate. You called me, and this is a true scenario. You called me because your person went out of business. I can't compete with a company's pricing that ain't smart enough to know how to calculate costs to keep themselves in business. That's not my fault. But that's why we've been in business 40 years. See what we got. A few text here. Let's see. It says, I call my break even point my broke even point. No, that's it. That's a good little saying. Sell the benefit of doing multiple yards. You have a consistent presence in the neighborhood, which turns into you not missing weeks of service. Sell the sizzle, not the steak. Absolutely. Yeah, you do sell the bit. Hey, we're doing multiple yards in here and we're doing them for a reason because we do them right. Now, this particular person here, and the reason I'm talking about this particular person, because this particular person was really Wayne Voles many, many years ago. That's who I was. I was the guy that had this kind of thought process because I never really sat down and calculated my cost. I thought, well, we're close enough. I get tired of hearing that from guys because it just reminds me of my misery days. We're close enough. I don't have a big, I got to, let's go back to Mercedes Benz girl for a minute. You think Mercedes Benz is saying we're close enough? We think that's what it costs us. This is probably what we ought to sell it for. Now, there's an extreme example. Or let's take it a little smaller. How many of you guys think Cress Equipment says, well, we think we're right. We think what cost us this much to make that blower or that lawnmower or Skag or John Deere or Ferris or Exmark, fill in the blank of whoever you like. I guarantee you these guys are not walking around their boardrooms saying, what's that cost us? Let's see. What are they selling their brand for in that market? We'll get competitive in that market. Now, maybe some of that does go on. And I can tell you from my own personal experience of sitting in some of those sessions with those manufacturers that, yes, that is how it happens. But what they know first is what it costs.
Yeah. It's a lot of backwards, and I think you touched on it being backwards as well, about you don't get into your business and then figure out if you can compete. That's not the way you do it. You figure out, is there a space for me in this market at this certain price point that I know I need to hit? And if not, you don't just do it to lose money, really.
Right.
No real businesses start that way.
But we don't understand, hey, what's our truck cost us? What's our trailer cost us? What's our equipment cost? All the way down the line on materialistic things that we need to calculate cost or overhead on. You know, Mike said, can you imagine if we could start medical services or HVAC services as a side hustle without certifications?
Yeah, or building cars.
Or building cars.
Building a car. That's why there's not cars running around on the street that are $2,000 for a brand new car. Chevy, Ford, Toyota, if their cars are similar models, they're pretty much similar prices. And it's not because they said, let's go and just charge what they're charging. It's because it generally costs about the same amount of money, but they figured that out. And then they said, let's figure out where we fit in the specific market. Are we going to be the Kia? Or are we going to be the higher end Ford?
Yeah.
But they didn't figure out Kia's selling theirs for, 16,000. So we'll just go in at 14 and see if it works.
Mike said, yeah, I'm doing some medical stuff now on the side because I want to pay for a new hip. So no, that's it. That's just it. Let's see. Corey said, just goes to show you crackheads will put work in if you'd let them. Yeah, they will. Let's see what we got here. John Stuber, I appreciate your interaction today, John. Heck. People all the time ask me if I give them a discount because they have multiple dogs. And I said, ma'am, I do not. I do not it's at my discretion, and I barely work for minimum wage for the amount of attention given your dog. So you got to understand me and be able to, I got to make a little profit and still take care of as many dogs as I do. That's just it. I mean, that whole point is stick to your guns. You know, come up with your pricing, establish your pricing, stick to your guns. Now, the thing is, so this guy's got these 14 yards. Maybe he's been in business 5 years, maybe 5 months, or maybe 20 years. I don't know. Maybe he's making it, killing himself, just working to death. He's surviving on cash flow, but he's not really doing anything business wise. And, you owe it to yourself to do better than that. Let me just leave it at that today. You owe it to yourself. You're never going to get rid of these guys because as one falls out, and this isn't Wayne saying this is statistical probability and what's really happening. As one falls out, two more come in because it's an easy entry business. And not just a mowing business, any service related business. It's just anywhere where, fill in the blank on what you're doing. The other day, I had a guy talking to me about a project they're doing, and he's like, man, I've made $9,000 on this job. And I'm like, cool, man, what have you done on it? And he started naming off some things. He said, well, I got this much in plants and this much in mulch and this much in this. And, he said, at the end of the day, it's going to take us about 5 days to do it with 4 guys. I'm going to make about $9,000. But no, not really. Not when we got to talking a little bit about it. All he was taking into account was his material on the job. His plants, his mulch, his removal of plants. But I said, well, yeah, man, that's a lot of labor, man. 3 guys, 4 days. That's a lot of labor hours. What are you charging a labor hour? Well, I'm taking it out of that profit. And that's another discussion for another day. But that is the reality of a big mistake that guys make too, is understanding the difference between gross margin and net margin and profit dollars, or markup versus profit.
Even just what an expense is.
Or what an expense is. Yeah, that basic, So, again, it's a pretty serious conversation for the day. Craig, you're the one that brought this up on a Friday, man. No, but I just thought it had to be addressed. That's the reality of it. And it's in everybody's market. There's nothing any of us can do to change any of it other than stay the course for yourself, for you and your business. Just stay the course for yourself, for you and your business. Mike said that's a pet peeve of his. Landscapers giving away the tear out to do the installation. Absolutely, man. You hear that, or we run into things, well, hey, the other guys are giving me free mulch.
Yeah.
Do you really think you're getting free mulch? When you see free,
well, to some degree, yeah, they probably are getting it free.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to an intelligent business, no, they're not. It's not free. You're not getting 50% off that Nike polo at Nike either. They raise the prices 80%. So, yeah, when it comes to an intelligent business, but unfortunately, yeah, they probably are giving their mulch away free because they found it in a back alley or they whatevered it. They got it from their Uncle Pete or their truck is, their
Uncle Pete.
Aunt Muriel died and left their grandfather's truck in the will to them, and now it's a no expenses truck, so it's all profit from here. And
yeah, well, we had a guy the other day that had that mindset. Nice guy, he just didn't know, about that scenario. Very similar scenario to that, Daniel. About the truck. And that's where that's where contractors and business owners do get hung up a lot too, is thinking it's paid for. It's not costing me anything other than fuel and little insurance, whether it's a lawnmower or a truck or whatever it is, paid for is great. Said I want an Uncle Pete T-shirt. Yeah, but that is the reality of it as well. Is the misconception of understanding what your costs really are. And again, Wayne Voles will be the first one to step up to that bus and say that was me. You know, I thought like a lot of these guys think. I was because I came out of that real job into the landscaping industry full time, not understanding what true cost were to operate a business, even though I'd operated one part time for a long time. But you just don't know what you don't know until you figure it out. And you generally figure it out when you struggle. You get on that struggle bus. And when you finally get tired of being on the struggle bus, you figure something different out. And that's the epiphany that we had at Wayne's Lawn Service.
Yeah.
Took us 9 years to figure out we can't do it like everybody else is doing it, because if that mindset's right, why is the failure rate so high? That's all you ever got to keep in your mind. That if any of these stupid things that run through my mind or your mind about why you can do it like everybody else is doing it, or the large percentage of the contractors are doing it, just take a look at the failure rates for the industry.
Yeah. I mean, we live in a world today, there's no excuse for lack of information. If you're sitting on, social media and Facebook and whatever else and doing all this stuff and you have a phone or a computer or whatever, you have access to enough information, not social media information or whatever, but legitimate information, that there's no excuses that you don't know. And there's no excuses as far as like, well, you don't know that you don't know, even. Like,
Yeah.
if you're entering anything, then do your due diligence or
Yeah.
your research, whatever you want to call it. Start a Microsoft Word document of stuff I should know and figure it out. Like, it's really not that hard to go to Google AI, to Bing AI, to Chat GPT, to whatever, and say, what are 10 things I need to know in my lawn and landscaping business to be successful?
Yeah.
And then guess what you do? You research each one of those 10 from there, and then you figure out why those things may not be even the best things in the world either. But then you're growing, your information is growing, your
You're
knowledge
thinking.
is growing. You know where to look for more information because you've started the information hunt. Like, there's just no reason that these things are still occurring when the information is there,
Right.
other than just you don't care. That's the only reason. People know about things. Like, you might be great at being a mechanic within your lawn and landscape business, but guess what? You probably learn those through something. Or you might love, football. Well, guess what you probably do about football? You probably learned about it and watched it and maybe read about, blah blah blah. Or you might have interest in these other things or whatever. That means you have the ability to learn about the lawn and landscape business or any business you get into.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Take the time and make the investment of the training and education and knowledge, because there's plenty of work out there for everybody. I think any of us on this show right now would say that, and thank God we got a lot of educated contractors on our show. But, the reality is, all of us here on Turfs Up Radio and Profit Time, we're all smart enough to know we got to stay open minded and look at ways to be different and better. John just sent me a text. He said, it's funny, but it ain't funny. He said, your point's right on, Wayne. He said, I had a dump truck that was paid for that cost me $14,000 last year in repairs.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. That's what it is. We actually got a video coming out, or is it out already? That one we did about that for Profit Circle. Was that in the Profit Circle where we talked about not buying cheap equipment?
Oh, yeah, that's out.
Yeah. And because cheap, just because it's paid for, here's my thing on paid for equipment. This is just me. By the time you get it paid for, it's time to replace it. That's just the reality of it most of the time. You know, you get a truck and you finance a truck for 5 years or 4 years or whatever, or 7 years, you know, it, when that loan's up or paid for, generally you're going to need, it's going to be replacement time. And that's just the reality of it. Or it could be, and in some cases it should be, you know, because depending on your business size, and we're getting ready to go down a road I don't want to go down further than what I'm going to take this little cul-de-sac trip on. But, you know, the reality of it is when it's expensed out, I need something else to expense out in my business. That's the reality of it. You know, that's what I want to do. I want something else to expense out because we do understand cost. We do understand accounting, or we got a CPA that understands accounting, you know, and I want something to expense out. I don't want to have to write a check. I don't want to write a check to the federal government. I mean, to do every year. But the reality of it is, it's my job and my CPA's job and your CPA's job to minimize your tax liability. And when we can do that by understanding our cost, then we all get better for it. The amount of time and effort that you spend in downtime, John just sent me to this, and this we addressed this in that video that we just put up in a profit circle. Downtime and maintenance are very, very expensive. Even if you're doing that maintenance yourself, because that's an argument that a lot of guys initially have when we're talking to them in a coaching capacity. You know, it's, well, man, I do my own wrenching. Okay, that's great that you have the ability to do your own wrenching. But what if you spent those wrenching hours doing what you're in business to do and you let somebody else turn a wrench? That's something we all need to think about.
Yeah, it's more. I would think it's more expensive for you to do your own.
It's more expensive to do your own because you're losing production. You're either losing production if you're in production, or you're losing sales time that you could be out selling another service to somebody because you're in their garage turning the wrench. You know, my dad taught me that a long time ago, that do what you do well and you can afford to pay people what they do well and everybody's happy. You know, that's why when my friends make fun of me because I can't do shit in a shop, I don't care. I don't want to learn to do something back in a shop. That's not what I want to do. I like selling. So I'm going to spend my time selling something so I can pay somebody to turn a wrench, or I can pay somebody to come paint my house, or I can pay somebody to fix my whatever. And I think that's what we all need to look at within our businesses closer on, is how much time are we spending on things that you could have somebody else do, and you could spend more time in your own business doing what you do, and then balance that out and say, hey, where's my best option? What's my advantage of letting a dealer turn the wrench? Now, I'm not saying we're not going to change oil and put a blade on and, you know, minor things here. But if we got some major shit that needs to take place, it's going to a dealer. Or I'm going to have a hard mechanic in my shop if I want that kind of mechanic going on. You know, then they can do what they can do. So I don't know. Another good point here says, you know, you never make enough downtime. If you can afford to fix the old stuff, you can afford the payment on a new one. And that's true. That's absolutely true. And that's what we all got to be smart enough to think about. So on that note, Daniel, we have went about 30 minutes over our time today, but that's okay, man. I appreciate all the interaction with you guys. And I appreciate y'all tuning in on my show. I appreciate you guys sharing Turfs Up Radio. And what I would really appreciate even more is getting more of you guys involved in the profit circle with us. Not for the $19.99 a month that we charge. Good God. I mean, for what you get for that money, it's just the commitment money is all it is. You know, we just don't want every Tom, Dick, and Harry in it because we want as many as we can get that want real help and not just want help. Don't think like you need help because you get in. You get in because you're an open-minded business professional that wants to surround themselves with like-minded business professionals. Whether you're a one-truck operation or a multi-crew company, and everybody shares ideas with everybody. That's the true value of the profit circle.
Yeah, it's you get to be around other people who know they need help and want to get that help.
And they want to be a better
The
business.
reason that Mark Cuban's not hanging out with, the fry cook at McDonald's. There's just they need help that Mark Cuban needs help that person can't give them. That's why they hang out. He hangs out with other billionaires. So if you want to come hang out with other successful and future even more successful lawn and landscape business owners, it's the place to be. It's not where, the Facebook is, where there's a million people telling you to charge $9.99 for the season.
Perfect example, Daniel. It really is, man. It really is. So, anyways, with that being said, hey, we just want to let you guys know we appreciate y'all 110%. And no, we appreciate you 100% because you can't never give more than 100%. If you're giving, guys say, oh man, that was 110% effort or whatever. No, you just hadn't been given all effort in the beginning. So let's just give a little more effort to our own businesses. Think about what we can do different and better. Know that the only business we could ever change is our own. But what we can do is get good input. And that's what I try to do here on Turfs Up Radio with my show Profit Time, is to help just give some input that you guys can look at your own businesses and maybe make an adjustment or two. And then I like your all's texts that come back to me in these conversations that we have, because that gives me the ability then to look at things that we do here and how we can adjust and make changes. And trust me, you guys have helped me as much as I've helped you. And it is a two-way street. And whenever you got a win-win, when everybody involves winning, that's what the goal is. So let's do it. Let's keep it going. You guys have a great weekend. Be safe. I hope somebody wins the $1.7 billion this weekend. If it's not me, I hope it's you. But if it's me, trust me, I'm going to take care of my regulars on here for sure, man. We're going to have one hell of a blowout and a little money to boot because we're going to have enough money to have fun with. So you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy your college football if that's what you're going to do. Enjoy winning the lottery if that's what happens. And if I win it, probably won't see me Monday, but I'll certainly be back on Wednesday. You guys have a great day. Thanks for everything y'all do with Turfs Up Radio. We love you. We'll see you Monday. And remember, profit is not the dirty word.